Sonny, back at the start of the summer, you were the first new sign-in following our promotion to the Championship. 5 months later, it feels like you're part of the furniture. How pleased are you of how quickly you've settled into life in South East London?
Yeah, really good. I don't think it could have sort of gone any better, really. Like you said, I was the first one to sign in the summer after the promotion. And straight away, I was just looking forward to getting started and getting back playing in the Championship again, which is where I want it to be. And yeah, we're doing really well at the minute. And on a personal note, I've had a good start to the season as well.
A really good start to the season. Back-to-back Player of the Month awards, Goal of the Month as well. But I suppose even more importantly, you've started every game in the Championship, which must have been a real benefit to you to strike the ground so strongly.
Yeah, definitely. When you sign for a new club, you have to come in and make an impression. Especially to gain the respect of all your teammates. And the manager brought me in, so I knew that he liked me. But you're never guaranteed to start in football. So had a good pre-season, trained well, and yes, it's been going really well. It's
clear your teammates absolutely love you. The supporters love you as well. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But the manager obviously trusts you in a really short space of time, because amongst those 15 appearances, you've played in lots of kind of different systems, slight tweaks here and there in terms of our attacking formation. How much have you enjoyed the challenge of showing that adaptability?
Yeah, I've loved it. I've said before, as long as I'm playing, it doesn't really bother me where. I think one of the good things about me is I can play in a few different positions. So I've obviously played a little bit higher up. I've played sort of holding midfielder, a bit deeper, but I've played in all those positions before in my career. So it's good, to be able to play in a few different positions and systems. That is only a positive thing.
And versatility serves itself so well in the Championship. We mentioned the fans a moment ago, didn't we? For them to vote you Player of the Month 2 months in a row just underlines how much you're appreciated. How much are you enjoying playing in front of them and that rapport you've so clearly built?
I'm loving it, honestly. The only thing I can say is I'm loving it. I'm loving every minute. When I hear the song on the pitch and that, I always have a little smile to myself. But no, the fans, they've been unbelievable. When I came here, they said once the Valley gets going, it's a great place to be. And I think we've had 20,000 plus at every home game, even the away games as well. They travel in their numbers, and they really do make a difference to us. In the later stages of games when we're a bit sort of tired and stuff, and you hear the crowd still singing, and that really does, spur us on. So we can't thank them enough.
It's been such a solid start to the season for the whole team as well. The thing about this football club is when you've got belief in that connection between players and fans, absolutely anything is possible. The international break has just finished. We enter another busy block. What's Nathan's message been to you and the squad approaching this kind of busy festive period that's ahead of us?
Just what you just said, really. Anything's possible. He said, when I signed for the club, obviously you got promoted from League One, so you could tell that there was a buzz around the place and it had, the promotion energy and stuff. But no, he just says exactly what you said. Anything's possible. We know what we can achieve this year, and I think we've shown it in the first 15 games that we're every team is a tough game in the Champ, and I think teams would say that about us as well. So it's been a great start.
The sky's the limit. On that note, let's showcase South East London a little bit more to you, because you're still learning the city. So are you ready for this?
I'm ready. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go. We have takeoff. Let's take things back a little bit. You joined Norwich at a really young age, spent so much of your sort of footballing education there. What was it like being a part of that football club, that setup? How much did it kind of help you make the start you did?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, I grew up as a Norwich fan. Obviously, living in the area, me and my dad, we had a season ticket, so we used to go to all the games. And yeah, it was good. I think I was 7 or 8 when I got picked up by Norwich, and was there all the way through up till 15 was the age I got released. But no, it was good for me, training every day. I moved schools a few times to be in what was the schools program back then, so that meant we got to do more training and stuff. And yeah, it definitely helped me be the person I am today.
Being a part of an academy pathway is really tough, and I know lots of pros speak about that point where perhaps they don't get that contract extension that they want. You mentioned that you were released from the academy. What was that moment like for you? Can you remember?
Yeah, it was tough. Yeah. I remember being very emotional afterwards. It was, all I'd known from the age of 7 up to 15 was, Norwich, go up, train every day. So yeah, it was tough. But looking back now, I think it was the best thing that could have happened to me, because at that time I don't think I was ready to to make the step up. So yeah, it was obviously a very sad time, but I look back on it now and I'm thankful that it happened, because it, you know, toughened me up. I went and played in non-league from the age of 16 up, so it properly, you know, toughened me up playing in men's football. So yeah, it was sad, but I look back now and I'm grateful that it happened.
It's incredible, really. Oh my gosh, look at that! Look at the view of the Thames underneath our feet. I think it's real credit to you, though, Sonny, because at that point, perhaps, especially when it's a team that you love and a team that you support, it must have felt so devastating. But you took that step into non-league, and non-league is not an easy place as a teenager. But you took that challenge so superbly. You went promotion at Kings Lynn. Did it almost help you kind of transition from being a teenage player into a man ready to carve out a professional career at some stage? Yeah,
definitely. It was, like I said, it toughens you up. You have to. Some of the other players that got released, they went and, you know, done trials at other clubs and stuff. But I just wanted to, you know, clear my head, get back enjoying football, and my dad was a big help. You know, he just said, you know, go and play in non-league, it'll toughen you up against men. And like you said, yeah, it sort of shaped me from a teenage boy into a man, and I was really grateful that it happened.
And it's one thing sort of being within academies and you're obviously playing to win and to develop, but in the non-league world, you're playing for 3 points and players are paying for their bonuses. They often do it alongside other jobs as well. So did it, again, further your footballing education at a young age, which maybe perhaps if you had just stayed at Norwich's academy, you wouldn't have had that sort of experience?
Yeah, it was good for me. Like I said, I was 16. That was the non-league club I went to. I was 16, and you know, I'm turning up for training. I don't know anyone. There's all the other, you know, people. They're working. You know, they're turning up in their work gear, and then when we have night games, you know, and I'm just a kid. You know, I didn't work or anything, and I'm seeing them turning up, rushing from work to get there, and then they've got to be up early again the next day. And yeah, it's you know, it's real. It's real proper football down in non-league, and it was really good for me.
And then you got that step into the EFL and you made that move. I can imagine, again, it was perhaps another little emotional milestone, not just for you, but your family as well, because you achieved that dream, you made it, and it must have felt like that to you.
Yeah, it was. I remember the day like it was yesterday when I got the call, you know, saying the bid had been accepted from Blackpool. And like you said, ever since I was this tall, you know, I wanted to be a professional footballer. And when, you know, that call came and it was all done, it was just, you know, there was tears at home. My mum, you know, she was all emotional, and because, you know, the family, they've always,
they see you for it all.
Exactly,
don't they?
Yeah. You know, they were there. They've been there through the lows and they've been there through the highs. So, you know, I got to thank them for a lot of it. But yeah, it was a great moment, and then it was just, you know, kicking on again. There was no sort of, you know, I've made it now. It was, you know, I've got, you know, the move that I wanted into the EFL. Now it's time to kick on.
You've always had to show that hunger, and again, that probably is why you've taken to life at Charlton so well. And it links quite nicely, because I had to mention Mama Carey, because when you scored that goal against Ipswich, which again, as a Norwich fan, must have meant so much to you, the photos in the crowd, I thought, gosh, that lady looks familiar. And I remember seeing you afterwards, and you told me, and it was your mum. And what magic, all those hours you put in the training ground, to see your mum celebrate like that with you must have been so special.
Yeah, it was. I think it's up there. It was one of the best moments I've had so far in my career. I had my daddy got involved in the celebrations as well, and he was all there with about 10 of his mates, and they're all, you know, obviously all from Norwich and that, and probably a lot of them are Norwich fans. So it was just, yeah, that moment was unbelievable. She's got that picture on the wall up in the house at Norwich, so she loved it as well.
I mean, it was such a special goal, special celebrations, special evening, and a real marker again of the progress we've made. It's so hard, though, not to look out at these brilliant views. This is amazing. We've got the O2 right behind us. I mean, a big move for you to come from Blackpool to London. How are you liking the city life?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I've always liked, you know, being in the cities and stuff. It's a lot different being up in Blackpool, but I was ready. You know, I've spent a bit of time in London before. I've got mates that live down here and stuff, so I used to come down and we get the train to go Westfield and things like that when I was younger. So, no, I mean, it's a great city and I love it here.
There's so many really good landmarks that we can see. Have you ticked off any of the touristy things, or is there other parts of London perhaps that you want to get to? We're coming up to Christmas, aren't we? Plenty of festive shopping to do as well.
Yeah, got to get the family some Christmas presents. There's a few Christmas markets that the missus wants to go to, so I'm sure I'll be getting dragged around them. But no, yeah, it's been good. I've been to the O2 before, you know, the London Eye. We've seen all the nice sights and that, and yeah, I'm loving it down there.
It is really important, isn't it, for footballers to settle, not just only in the club, but the local area? Because sometimes, even higher up in the pyramid, we see the lumps of money that gets invested into players, and then the expectation that they're going to start up straight away. It's not always that easy, is it? Can you give us some perspective in that move that you did make from Blackpool, like moving your whole life down from the north to the south?
Yeah, no, it was really smooth. I think the quicker you move and settle in at another place, the better. You know, the more you feel like you're at home, I think, you know, the better you can perform on the pitch. And it was really smooth. I think within sort of about 10 days of me knowing I was coming here, had the medical signed, moved into the new place, and was all settled in really well. So the club were, you know, they were really good with me when I signed and helped me get moved in and settled. So it's gone well.
Did you get the Nathan Jones presentation that Thomas told me about?
I did.
Is it as impressive?
It is very impressive. Yeah, I remember coming off and called my agent straight away, and we were just sort of like 10 seconds of silence, and then I just went, wow. And then he said the same thing, and I think I knew from that moment, you know, that this was the place for me. And
how has your sort of impressions, or what you hoped the club would be like, compared to the first impressions of the home debut, the travelling on the road, how have they kind of mirrored and compared? Has it been what you expected? Has anything kind of taken you by surprise?
No, I think it's been everything I expected and more. You know, I knew that obviously with the club getting promoted and having the buzz around the club, that, you know, the fans and at the stadium and stuff was going to be loud and going to be buzzing. But no, it's been brilliant. You know, 20,000 fans at home every game. You know, and you hear them singing your name and stuff. It really does, you know, take you back. And yeah, we're in a great place at the minute. The team, I think we're joint on points with 7th.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot more to come yet.
Just listening to you talk about your journey and the steps you've had to make, the perseverance you've had to show, it even makes more sense to me now, those moments in the 95th minute where you've got that hunger and desire to take the moment, to make the most of it. In those moments, talk to me about what's going through your head, because they're just absolute magic.
Yeah, I think, like you said, obviously with going through non-league and stuff, it toughens you up. And I've always been a player who will, you know, I'll never quit, I'll never stop running until, you know, the final whistle. And I think the other day, like you said, when we got that goal against West Brom, it was just sort of, yeah, it summed it up. It was an unbelievable feeling to get that goal. And
I know you said afterwards that you saw the manager and you just ran over to him, but the way that this team, and I don't just mean the starting 11, I mean the finishers, we've got a lot of quality players at the moment that aren't playing probably as many minutes as they would like, but that's because our squad is so good, and that togetherness is so impressive, and it feels like the promotion last season has really provided a platform. I just wondered if you could give us a bit of perspective. Do you think that's true? Do you think the success and momentum, even though you weren't personally involved from last season, has kind of infiltrated into the start we've had to this campaign?
Yeah, definitely. You can see, you know, everyone's sort of got that, you know, that fearless mentality. You know, obviously got promoted last year, and, you know, on paper would be, you know, the favourites to go down again. So I think we sort of have that fearless mentality where, you know, people don't expect us to win, which I think plays in our favour, because, you know, we go to every game, you know, away. You know, we went to Ipswich away, who got relegated from the Prem, and beat them 3-0. So I think it's a great mentality to have, you know, is sort of being fearless. You know, every game we go and we try and win. And like you said about the squad as well, it's a great squad. Like you said, there's obviously players that aren't playing as much minutes at the moment and stuff, but I think you could put out, you know, two 11-a-side teams and then both be as strong as each other. So it's a great squad, and it's always good to have, you know, competitiveness, you know, within the squad. It's always good to have.
And what we don't see as supporters, of course, is that really benefits training. That makes training as competitive and intense as possible, and as intense as it needs to be to then be replicated on a match day at the tempo that you can pick up the ball and hear a whole stadium encourage you to shoot and do it.
Yeah, no, it's good. You know, that, like I said, having that competition and stuff is always good, and training, you know, the intensity in training is always, you know, through the roof. That's how the gaffer is. You know, you don't want to be off it in training because you get told by the gaffer, but you know, that's how it should be. You know, it's an old saying, you hear it all the time, but you train as you play. Yeah. But it's true. You know, if everyone's at it in training, and you know, we're making each other better, and you know, at the end of the day, and we're a team, so we win together and we lose together.
It reminds me of the saying that's sort of emblazoned on our tunnel as you walk out: "Be relentless," and that just encapsulates absolutely everything. I wanted to ask you, Sonny, you've had a lot of people support you in your career, from your mum and your dad and coaches within non-league, that showed belief in you, and maybe every now and then needed to put an arm around your shoulder and instill in you that self-belief that's got you to where you are today. Has there ever been a coaching tip or a piece of advice that's really stuck with you and serves you now when you're competing in the championship week in, week out?
Yeah, there was always one that sticks out to me. It was my manager at Kings Lynn, Ian Culverhouse, and I think I was sort of 17, 18 or 19 when I was there. And when I got my move to Blackpool, you know, I spoke on the phone and stuff, and he was just, you know, congratulating me, and he just said, one piece of advice I'd give you is to never waste a day, and that still, you know, stays with me today. He said, you know, never waste a day. Every day is important. You know, you can learn and improve stuff every day, even if, you know, the training session isn't as intense as, you know, it would normally be for whatever reason if we had a game the day before. But yeah, he told me to never waste a day, and that stuck with me.
Oh, I can see it. Yeah, can you see the valley there? That little bit of red. That red strip in the corner. Can you see it? Like right...
I can't see it. Oh!
There.
Oh, yeah, right over there.
So that place is going to be full of over 20,000 supporters on Saturday. We're set for our biggest crowd in the championship. How much are you looking forward to going back out there with the boys, especially after the international break as well?
Yeah, I can't wait. I was just saying to you earlier, you know, when the international breaks are nice to sort of recover and that, but especially me, I just want to get back out there and get back playing again, and especially to be at home. I didn't know it was going to be the biggest crowd we've had, and I don't think the crowd could get much better really than what they've been at home. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it even more now.
I wanted to ask you about 15-year-old Sonny, who would have been distraught when you found out that contract that you wanted wasn't going to come. How proud would he be of the player now who is competing in the championship, making a real difference and preparing for games in front of 20-odd thousand people against former Premier League clubs?
Yeah, I think he'd be very proud, yeah. I think, you know, obviously at that time you sort of, you know, you question a little bit, you know, am I going to make it? You know, you always hear people in the past, you know, say, you know, it's the toughest job in the world to get into, so you always need to, you know, have a plan B and stuff like that. But no, I think, you know, looking back, I don't think it could have gone any better.
I think your sort of personality, both sort of on the pitch and off the pitch, blends so nicely with Charlton, and that's why supporters seem to have taken to you so well. I have to say, after that West Brom game, that winning goal and the moment and the electricity of it, I could not sleep for the rest of the day. And all I had in my head for the next few days was the chant. Does it stay in your head as much?
It does, yeah. I'll sometimes be just sort of walking around my place at home and just sort of singing it in my head and that. And no, it's, you know, unbelievable when you know, 15, 20,000 people singing your name. You know, the gaffer actually come up to me and after the game, and he just, you know, sort of pushed me out towards him and said, you know, enjoy it, because you know, this doesn't happen often. So yeah, it was, that moment will stay with me forever.
And that ferocious backing that you get is extended to the whole team. I feel like the crowd really sense those moments when they need to give you that little bit of extra energy, because look, let's make no bones about it, the championship is so relentless. It's going to be very hard to have like a 90-minute dominant performance, and that is what has made our home form so good. So tell us, what do the boys think about playing at home?
They love it. Every single one of us love it. You know, like you said in the West Brom game, it was a tough game. You know, there wasn't sort of, you know, too much in it. But then when we're hearing them sort of 80, 85th minute still singing, you know, it gives you all a lift when you're on the pitch. You know, like I said, when you're a bit tired and that, but you hear them singing and, you know, egging us on, or we get a corner and, you know, it sounds like we've just scored and they're all celebrating and that. So, you know, they're a massive help to us and we appreciate them all.
Oh, look, Sonny, talking to you on such a glorious day with these amazing views, what an incredible backdrop, has got me even more excited to get back to action on Saturday at the Valley. Best of luck against Southampton, and thank you so much for your time.
Lovely, thank you.